Aloha, everyone. It's Maui Horoscope, and I am providing a reading today. It's May 11th. It's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. Moon conjunct Jupiter today. This is Sidereal Astrology and equal houses. I don't have the Vedic software, and I am doing this reading because I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning and I went outside and I saw that the moon is catching up to Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. And I thought, this time last month and the month before that and the month before that, all the way to January when we had that new moon, which started off this December 26th, this whole COVID-19. Now, they are talking about how no one predicted anything. Yeah, a lot of us did not predict the COVID-19, but what we did say, like what I said in November and December, was life will not be the same when Pluto, Saturn, and K2 are all conjunct, and these are the good old days. That was in November. All right. Fast forward to May. We've all been in lockdown for 2 months. COVID-19 is in sperm. It might cause birth defects. We're having all these conflicts within our society and what's happening. And there's a lot of trauma out there. And I thought I would keep things going because today is Sunday. Moon is about here. It's in Sagittarius. It's going to be crossing that galactic plane, and then it's going to be hitting Pluto, which is an outer planet. And then tomorrow morning on May 12th, that's Monday morning in the morning, Moon will be with Jupiter and Saturn. And I think the early morning is going to start off pretty good. And then as the rest of the day goes on into Tuesday and Wednesday, going to get a lot more agitated here when Moon hits Saturn and then on Mars. And on the next day, on Tuesday, May 13th and 14th, it's going to be a very, very volatile time. And we have to watch out for depressive, negative thinking. But this whole Pluto, Jupiter, Moon, Saturn, and then the Mars coming up here into Aquarius, things keep on shifting. And it's austerity time, everyone. We just have to accept austerity. We are going to have to tighten our belts. We're going to have to help one another. Things the COVID-19 and the economy came crashing into one another. And this has been a lot of cold water thrown on a hot economy. And it's going to take a while for it to come back. So I recommend austerity to everyone. And on Monday, then in the morning, it's going to be an easier time. And then in the afternoon, it's going to be more difficult. This week, we've got Venus going retrograde down here. Then Saturn is going retrograde. Then Jupiter is going retrograde all this month of May. And really, things aren't going to get going until September again, September, October, at which time Mars is going to be with Uranus. So there's a lot of volatility, a lot of agitation, a lot of cold water being thrown on us right now. We have to rethink, what are we doing with our lives? What's the purpose of our being here? We have to be confident. We have to be confident in our rights as humans on the planet. Now, this Mars here on May 11th is just moving into Aquarius, and it was in Capricorn. So what amazed me with the last 2 months was how compliant everybody has been. Now, the demonstrations have only begun like, oh, we're independent, we don't need to wear a mask and open up our economy type thing. If COVID-19 were blisters on people's faces, maybe people wouldn't be so much in a hurry. but with South Node still in Mula, and now the North Node is now moving into Mrigashira out of Ardra. So the pressure's starting to come off, but that South Node in Mula is still asking us to look at our deepest, darkest places and bring light to them. And what lives in deep, dark places? Oh, viruses, bacterias, all of that stuff coming out, being exposed. But the main thing is our willingness to look within, take responsibility and have accountability for our actions and our thoughts and our emotions, and meditate and try to do good in the world. But basically, we really need to look at what are we doing, where are we going, why are we doing this, what is this serving, what's our life about? Those are the kind of questions with South Node and Mula, that Mula means roots of the plant. So digging up the old stuff. And then this South Node is going to be moving into Scorpio. And you know, with that whole thing with the sperm having COVID-19, I think, you know, the Scorpio rules the reproductive systems. I really hope that COVID-19 does not create birth defects in children whose parents have suffered from getting the virus. So we could be seeing that, because South Node in Scorpio is going to add a whole new layer of meaning for STD, if it can be sexually transmitted. So there we go. There's the South Node there, and the North Node still in Gemini, in Ardra, so still, in Mrigashira now, and it's going to be moving into Taurus. So basically, I really hope that does help. I mean, again, that the greed, everybody's got to get back to work with no accountability or responsibility for how people's health are. With North Node in Taurus has a tendency to make us really desire, you know, wealth and greed, and coming not from a sacrificial place, but from a selfish place. So I'm really hoping that this North Node here going into Taurus will help us. Whoops, wrong one. North Node going into Taurus here will help us be kinder, not only to each other, but take care of the earth, take care of the things that are solid on the planet. But it's definitely going to increase the desire for wealth. Of course, people want to make money after they haven't been working. But, you know, I'm feeling like with Mars and Aquarius here squaring this Taurus, Mars and Aquarius is really going to be a lot more intense for workers' rights and for being a little bit more stubborn. Mars in Taurus is definitely way more stubborn than Mars in Aquarius. And Mars in Aquarius, perfect time for healthcare for all, workers' rights, rights of students, basically the health and healing of the society, so socialism. When Saturn moves into Aquarius, we're going to see a lot more social programs going on. But Saturn's in Capricorn right now, and that's not happening. Saturn in Capricorn wants everything in order, wants all the details correct, and wants the status quo. And then when it goes into Aquarius, it's going to be willing to change that. So here we have two old men running for the presidency. I mean, they're both old, and they're both white, and they're both wealthy, and they both represent the status quo. One is colder than the other. Trump obviously is a cold man when it comes to migrants, sick people. He's all about the money, right? He's all about the North Node in Taurus. Of course, he has North Node in Taurus. So we've got two old white men running, and I'm just hoping that people's hearts and minds open up during this time and that they see that the welfare of the group overrides the welfare of the individual, in the fact that society's health is more important than the economic machine continuing to go. The government can bail out everybody. They can cut the Defense Department budget by half, and they can pay everybody $2,000 or $3,000 a month, just like Andrew Yang said, and we can float through this a little bit, but I don't know if the will is there. So in this chart that I pulled up here, this is just for tomorrow morning on May 12th, and I just did this because Jupiter, Moon, and Saturn are all together in Capricorn in the sky, and it's a day of practicality, and then the day starts off better than it ends. It ends sort of on a harder note. We've got Mars in Capricorn, Aquarius. We have Uranus in Aries here in this chart at 5:30. Uranus conjunct the ascendant with the Sun. Yeah, tomorrow at this time, you'll have a lot of good ideas if you wake up at 5:30 in the morning and meditate. That'll be a good time. And then for this week, well, actually, Venus and the North Node are together, and then Venus is going retrograde. It'll be meeting up with the Sun. So this isn't happening yet. Okay, I want to show you another chart. This is the United States chart, 1776, July 4th, 1776. Sag rising, Venus, Jupiter, Sun, Mercury, all in the 7th house. North Node in Cancer, South Node in Capricorn. We've got Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn, and then the Moon will be coming up here this week on the South Node in the 2nd house. This could be a very difficult month for obviously, well, not obviously for the stock market, for money. You know, the reality is the deficit and the debts and all the level of printing money and spending money and everything. The next couple of years, actually, again, it's a time of austerity. And look at this. Mars is with the Moon in the 2nd house. This week is going to be a triggering week, this week of May 12th. May 12th, with Mars on the United States Moon, it's going to be very agitating. It's in the 2nd house. There's going to be a lot of action with money, with families, with speech. You know, this could be a time where politicians could be very opinionated and sloppy. Well, let's get to the biggest politician of all, Donald Trump. Now, just to show you that the South Node is in the 12th house and the North Node's in the 6th house. So this year for the United States, all going to be about work, health, and service. So with the North Node in the 6th house with Mars and Uranus there, looking at this with the North Node here getting to a 17 Taurus for the United States, Uranus here in the 6th house, that could be viewed as a cure for coronavirus with the North Node. So it's definitely going to be a year and a half before there's any kind of, quote, cure. I don't know if you can call it a cure. Vaccine? Who wants a bad vaccine? How about it's got to be something with the blood and the lymph and, you know, obviously Chinese medicines. We need some alternative medicines here. And of course, the United States is open to it. Moon in Aquarius in basically Shati Bishat, which is 1,000 doctors. So, you know, we should be open to a variety of medicines in the United States. Don't know if that's going to happen. They may just go for the, quote, standard treatment, which would be a vaccine, but I personally don't want a vaccine. And now here is Donald Trump's chart. As we all know, he's got Sun, North Node, and Uranus in the 10th house. Leo rising, Mars on the ascendant, and Moon conjunct the South Node in the 4th house in Scorpio, and it's conjunct also. So right now, that South Node is inching onto his Moon in the 4th house. Maybe his sister will die. There's going to be loss of a woman this year in his life for sure. Could be his wife, could be his sister, his emotional well-being. Personally, I think that he's unwell. He's a man who's unwell, and he should not be running for president. He's got Saturn here going into his 6th house, and Jupiter's there that's protecting him, but by next year, well, then Jupiter will be in his 7th house. Saturn in his 6th house, it will restrict his health. It's probably going to overrule Jupiter. Mars is here in his 7th house this next month and the month after. We could view him as an extremely aggressive person. Well, Venus is on his Sun, so people are really, people are protecting him, obviously. And then the North Node is going to be on his Sun. He's having a lunar return at the time of the election. So, you know, quite frankly, I don't know. He could win, but I really hope he doesn't. And the South Node on his Moon